What's going on, everybody? This is your boy QuestX coming back at you once again. Now we're going to talk about some politics. This is going to be a bit of a fusion of a video because it's going to be talking about one of my subscriber requests, which was, I believe, made by Subwoofer. Shout out to you. You asked me whether I believed Donald Trump would be a two-term president, and then I'm going to talk about what political party I belong to and why I belong to it. I am what is deemed a democratic socialist. Now, I know, the word socialism, socialist, if you listen to mainstream media, they will try to instill fear. If you listen to a lot of fear mongers in general, when it comes to the political system, they will try to tell you that we want free handouts and we want, we don't want to work hard for anything in our lives, which I find considerably funny considering the fact that I went to college. I have 2 degrees and I own my own business and I'm very successful. I was successful before I went into business for myself. So it's just amazing. Ironic, isn't it? So here's what I'm going to explain to you why I'm a democratic socialist. I firmly believe that our government, instead of paying billions of dollars, trillions of dollars on wars, instead of giving, quote unquote, which you'll hear a lot of the fearmongers say about socialists, is that we expect handouts, giving handouts to the top 1% in this country who live quite comfortably, have never understood what it means to get up at 4 a.m. and work to 12 midnight, to get their hands dirty, to truly sacrifice. I believe that our government, and I believe that the opportunities should be allotted to everyone to have a free education. I believe that everyone should have an opportunity and access to free healthcare. I believe that by improving our education system in this country, by giving the kid in Gary, Indiana, and the same opportunity to go to school and not have to worry about the financial burden and debt that it will create for him, should be given to that kid just like it's given to that kid who's a part of the top 1%. Now, everybody will sit there and try to tell you, oh, well, then if you're about democratic socialism, then you're not about capitalism, and you don't care about commerce, and you don't care about the financial state that it would throw our country in. Oh, God, people. Competition breeds money. Everyone knows that. I mean, if you've worked in finance, you know that to have 2 or 3 or 4 companies competing on an economic level, it does boom commerce. Since when did we become so terrified of having, everyone be given an opportunity to graduate from great schools, to go into the workforce, to apply all of those gifts and tools that they're given from a child and given when they're in high school and given in college and undergrad and so on and so forth? Since when did we become so afraid of that? And also, I'm gonna be honest with you, it's about forward momentum. We have to stop looking in the past when it comes to how we approach economics in this country. And to be honest with you, that top 1% understands that and knows that better than the rest of us. This is why they've been allowed to be in power for as long as they have been. All right. It's called the Good Old Boys Club. I'm pretty sure many of you have heard of it. The Good Old Boys Club doesn't want to let anybody from the ground floor into their office. That's how they remain in the Good Old Boys Club. All right. What's wrong with having a perspective that whether you're gay, straight, whatever, you should have the right to do what you want to do with your life? What's wrong with giving a woman the opportunity to have and just the inalienable right to do what she wants with her body? What's wrong with taking positions where there should be more community outreach programs? Okay, not just in New York or New Jersey or California or LA to Southern California, not just the coastal states, but all throughout. What's wrong with that? Okay? What's wrong with giving educators, okay? And I know this for a fact because many of you know my woman is an educator. You know, I see what she has to deal with. I see the schools, and I see how the education system is designed structurally to work against educators. How much money, personal money, that they have to put into doing things. That shouldn't be for literally, quote unquote, the richest country in the world. We're the richest country in the world, yet we have the largest debt. Okay? So what's with all the capitalism that a lot of the fear mongers will try to push on whenever you hear someone say that they're democratic socialists? You know, because that's really what it's rooted in. It's rooted in fear. It's rooted in fear of change. You know, you'll often hear the common thing where they'll say, "Oh, well, why don't you go to Venezuela? Why don't you go to Venezuela?" I mean, it's typical fear tactics, and that's really what we're about. You know, democratic socialism is not about instilling fear. It's about actually doing something that affects positive change in a positive direction. It's about giving people the opportunities that should be a right, being born here in America, or if you migrate here, okay, to America. All right? It's about actually following those creeds that are on the Statue of Liberty. Okay? And to be a progressive is a scary thing to someone who's just a basic corporate Democrat who is, their hands are tied behind their backs because they have to do what their who their donors are and what their donors' requests are, and they can't. They go to their communities and their constituents, and they repeat the same thing each election year. We're gonna go to Washington and we're gonna push change. We're gonna fight for you, the little guy. The reason why I'm explaining my position and why I am a democratic socialist and why I'm proud of it and why I don't care what most people think about it, and they can say what they want. I'll probably get a lot of hate in the comment section of this video because of it. But again, I'm not afraid of fear mongers because I'm not afraid of actual change. I'm not afraid of, doing something that other countries, they just consider it a right of their people to have the government, provide them, to provide the people who actually make that country work. Free health care, education opportunities, to provide women the opportunity to have free daycare so that they can be, single moms if they happen to be single moms, or widowed moms. I'm not just talking about women who have children out of wedlock and they're single mothers. It's everything. It's a complete restructure from top to bottom. Okay? And for a lot of people, that's scary. That is a scary thing. And I just want to employ people that, especially we're getting close to the next midterm elections, and November is just around the corner. I just want people to understand that, and this is where I'm going to lead into Donald Trump. If you don't want, Donald Trump to be your second term president, you're going to have to do a lot of internal looking into yourself, okay? You're going to have to do a lot of reflecting on what it is you actually want this country to look like in 10, 20, 30, 40 years, okay? You know, we just had another, court pick by Donald Trump, and he's extremely conservative. Kavanaugh, I've been looking at a lot of his opinions. I was reading them. Please, I encourage people to go on Google and research a lot of the articles and things that he's written. And it's frightening, his positions on things. And they don't just affect liberals. They don't just affect, the what's called the extreme liberals, the far, far left or the moderates. This man is as far right as you can get. And some of the things that he is pushing for, that his opinions, because that's what they like to use as with Supreme Court justices when they write what their opinions are on laws and how they see certain things. It's scary. And the fact that we now know the Supreme Court is now dominated by conservatives. I mean, it's scary for what could happen to women's right to do whatever the hell they want to do with their body. Listen, I don't care what a woman does with her body. I really don't. If who am I to say what a woman should do and what she shouldn't do? Regardless of whether you have this moral position on something. Well, who makes you the moral authority on it? Again, people will look at my views and say, "Oh, you're too extreme. You're far left. You're a leftist. You're trying to spew your agenda." Again, it's just fear of change, fear of evolving. Isn't that the whole point of evolving? Aren't we each generation supposed to be better than the last? But, hey, we've devolved into tribes. You're either right or you're left, or you're centrist, or you're far left, far right. Fuck you. Womp womp, as Corey Lewandowski likes to put out. But, me listing all of these things, it leads me into the whole Donald Trump situation. Listen, Donald Trump will become a two-term president if we get lazy during our election cycles. That's all of the election cycles. I've been on record saying this time and time again. People have to stop being complacent. Stop being complacent with the same message. If you don't see results, if you have someone representing you in a district and they've been representing you for 10, 20, 30 years and there's still no difference or change, what more do you need to do? Okay? What more do you need to see, put it that way? Okay? As you can see, whenever a representative of your district needs money, they can, mobilize a campaign fundraiser quicker than they can actually bring upon a bill in the House. Okay, so they can make money quick, okay? But they can't seem to fix your health care. They can't seem to come to a reasonable consensus when it comes to education. They can't seem to come to a reasonable consensus when it comes to dealing with police brutality. They can't seem to do that. It's always a process when it comes to that, but there is no process when they need money. You don't think that you don't see a problem with that? You don't see why I feel that the youth, the younger generation is, and when I say younger generation, me too. I'm in my 30s, but do I want to repeat what my parents did? Constantly vote Democrat. Constantly Democrat. And not even understanding the history of the Democratic Party. When Democratic Party was the most racist party, they were the Klan, okay? The Republicans were the party of the African American who were in this country. You don't see where it's this conditioning this political conditioning that we're in? You have to break away from that. And I feel that we need to, as the younger generation, we have, if we want things to change, because we see that the world, because again, we're on the ground level. See, the constituents are on the ground level. Not the guys on mainstream media who get on there with a nice tie and a nice suit. Why is the guy representing you wearing a three-piece Armani suit when you work to elect that person, okay? And you worked to elect him 10 years ago, and your situation hasn't changed, and each year he comes to your district, he comes back to your district, and he's preaching how he's going to change things, yet you see him being represented by big corporate money, and yet nothing's changed for you. Why keep voting for him? And that leads me into Donald Trump. And that is what Trump tapped into. Trump tapped into the people who got tired of the people who represented them in their districts not doing a goddamn thing. He fed them what they wanted to hear, okay? But he came at it from a position that they've come from. And again, I know that a lot of Trump voters get the rap. They say, oh, you voted for Trump, you're racist. I truly don't believe that everyone who voted for Donald Trump is a racist. I think that they just got tired and fed up with the mantra that change was going to come, and change didn't come. And here's a guy who comes in who's not from the normal political upbringing, okay, who speaks like them. What was the biggest thing you ever saw on the news? You saw when they would interview Trump voters, and this is in the beginning. Now, we're not talking about the really radical ones that are now, because if you notice, mainstream media also has a hand in Donald Trump's staying relevant with these voters. But you notice that the interviews that they would interview Trump supporters, it was, well, he kind of talks like I talk, at home. Or, hey, yeah, I know he's a billionaire and all that jazz, which he's not a billionaire. He's a liar about what his net worth is. But all you have to do is do your research on that. But, oh, yeah, he talks like me, oh, he's a New Yorker, he basically, their ideology is rooted in a perception that Donald Trump built. Okay, that he's a part of the elites, but he's not an elite. You get what I'm saying? He appealed to that. Oh, well, I worked and built my empire up. Listen, I'm not trying to disrespect middle America, okay, as they like to call it. But I'm being completely honest with you. We're 2 years into his presidency. If you look at the interviews with middle Americans, I doubt they know the true history of Donald Trump. I doubt they know he went to Ivy League schools. I doubt they know that, and even if they do, he's brainwashed them so much at this point, they don't even care. As long as he is feeding them that mainstream media, they like to use the red meat. Right? As long as he's feeding them red meat and telling them that he's going to stick it to the faces of the elites. Okay, and that's really what the Progressive Party, the rise of the Progressive Party is. It is the Democratic Tea Party, like the Republican Tea Party was. Remember that? Okay, and everybody was sitting up there. That's who it is. That's how Donald Trump gained power. It was the Republican Tea Party. The people who were tired of the elites. They were tired of the silver spoon in their mouths. Individuals who didn't give a damn about the little people and continue to leech off of the little people's hard work. And that is how and why we got Donald Trump. And who attached themselves to the Republican Tea Party were the proverbial scum of society. Okay, and the ones who you see on national television wearing Make America Great Again hats, constantly attacking people of color on TV, okay? And what does mainstream media do to that? That is mainstream media's red meat, is to put that on your face. And it further builds up the wall, okay, which is ironic that I'm using this, builds up the wall of a person who might know, okay, might realize and has woken up that Donald Trump is not where we should be, okay? And I use him as to say not where we should be, because maybe this person knows that voting for Donald Trump was a mistake, okay? But because the media kind of further breeds this division between the parties, instead of reaching across both aisles and saying, we're fighting for the same thing. Okay, we just come from different viewing points of the lens. Instead of doing that, they rather constantly push that it's Trump voters, the far left. You see what they do? They break everything down, and they force everyone. It's like a petri dish of bacteria. Not all the bacteria connects. Sometimes in biology, if you're doing tests or experiments, sometimes bacteria, depending on if you where you put it, will latch on to the sides of the petri dish. And I'm not trying to call us bacteria, all the parties bacteria, but basically, if you have to just try to get this visual, is that basically nobody will be in the middle together. Some of the bacteria will disperse and go to opposite ends of the petri dish. Okay, and it's just, that's just where it is. That's just where we are at. And the only way to avoid Donald Trump becoming a two-term president is if we get out there, we vote. If you're somebody who's progressive and believes that you have the ability to reach across the aisle, to tell a person who grew up on a farm as you grew up in the city, if you can tell them, listen, man, you get up at 3 a.m. to farm and do hard work and grind in the ground. I do the same, but I just work in, picking up garbage every day. We're the same. We're trying to fight for the same things. Let's come together instead of it being you're over here and I'm over there. Okay? You want to have your child have the opportunities that a kid who's born with a silver spoon in his mouth wants? Shit. I believe that education should be open to everyone. Find a common ground. Drown out Donald Trump. Drown out mainstream media. Listen to independent media. Okay? You're never going to get anywhere. I've always said this. You're never going to get anywhere with the racists. You will never, ever get anywhere with the racists. This is why I don't try to convince a racist not to be racist. This is why I don't argue with a racist. I actually poke fun at racists. I think that they're absolutely hilarious, considering the fact that we have, as a society, evolved to so many different things. I mean, how could you, in this time frame, still have the same backwards thinking of the Klan? There is absolutely, either it's just you choose to be ignorant that way, and I feel that there are people who choose to do it because it's rooted out of fear. It's rooted out of, I want to say it's rooted out of jealousy. And I'm not trying to sit there and say that every racist is jealous of the other race, because I think that there are just people who just have ignorance, and it's something that's taught to them, and it's something that they feel safe. It is a safety blanket. It's something that makes them feel as if they're doing something important. Because I'll just be honest, I watch all the documentaries on how the Klan was formed, what the Klan rallies look like. And it's not just the Klan. There are so many other terrorist groups out there. Notice I use terrorism because we never like to acknowledge that the KKK is a domestic terrorism organization. I mean, you never hear that associated with the Ku Klux Klan. It's always their foot soldiers for their cause, or they're trying to bring America. You're going to see where I'm going with this. They're trying to bring America back to when it was great again. You see, Donald Trump, I said in my last video, my political video I said people took Donald Trump as a fool, as an idiot, and he wasn't. He knew television. He knew the optics of television, and he understands theater. And he knew who he was speaking to. He knew who he needed to galvanize, and he capitalized on it. And it is what it is. But that's why I believe that Donald Trump is not going to be a two-term president. You can see it in these special elections. You can see it, and it's not just a typical norm swing. Because again, if you've been paying attention to politics, you know that, when a president is elected, usually by the midterms, the House and the Senate look drastically different than when he came into office. And that's just the way politics works, okay? So do I believe that the House and the Senate will look vastly different come this past November? Absolutely. But it depends on, will it be the same old different that we've had? Will it be the same old Democrats you're going to vote into office? Will it be the same old Republicans that you're going to vote into office? I mean, as you can see, look, Trump has motivated the Republican base. Look at the types of Republicans who are running. You got a guy out, I forget where. He is a self-professed pedophile, and he believes that women are property. He believes that you should only have a child to violate that child. Okay, and I'm not even joking about this. There's an actual person running for office that is his platform. Okay? And he has a bit of following. That should scare people. And I truly believe that that's going to motivate people to get out and vote for the people they may not normally have voted for before. So that's why I don't believe he'll be a two-term president. Now, many of you know I don't believe he's going to make it out of his first term. With this election to the Supreme Court, this nominee, and Kavanaugh, that it does protect him from actually seeing any sort of jail time. Because there's a particular opinion that Kavanaugh wrote, which you've probably seen mainstream media keep preaching. I actually went and read it. The mainstream media is trying to push to you that because they want you to focus on Roe v. Wade, they want you to focus on him being able to pardon the president, right? Or the president not being subpoenaed, when the important thing that you should focus on is the fact that this guy was elected, which is what it is. Elections have consequences. This is what you're seeing. This guy was chosen because he's the last brigade, the shield for Donald Trump. If and when, and I keep saying when, Mueller releases his report, starts indicting people, particularly in the Trump family. Trump is protecting his family from ever seeing a day in jail, okay? And we all know how that works, okay, in this country. And the facts are what the facts are. The elite, the rich, they don't go to jail like we go to jail, okay? It is, and that should make you want to get out. That should motivate you even more. Get out and vote. The fact that you're seeing all of these guys get indictments and and guys who money launder millions and billions of dollars, right? And then you steal a candy bar from the store, and you and you get charged as if you committed one of the deadly sins. You don't think that that's something wrong with that? Get out and vote. If there's somebody who feels that smoking marijuana is not that bad of a deal, when the people in your neighborhood are getting arrested and thrown in jail, and they're losing their lives because they were smoking weed, and here comes a representative who says, listen, I'm going to go to Congress and try to get marijuana legalized. I mean, why should you, for a misdemeanor, your entire life be screwed up? Meanwhile, you'll see a dude who's a part of that 1% who gets caught trafficking cocaine and nothing happens to him. He gets house arrest and time served, or he gets a few months in club fed, as they call it. Vote. That's your power. And that's why I believe that while mainstream media is trying to pit this war, right, against both sides, I do believe that people are waking up. You see it. You see it online. You see it. More and more people are, I think here on YouTube, more and more people are opening channels, and you're getting different perspectives. You're getting, there's a really an interesting candidate, and a Mormon candidate, right, who has an ad campaign, which I thought was interesting. And even he's Mormon, right? And traditionally, right, Mormons are conservative, and yet he's considering himself a liberal Mormon. Okay, I think people are waking up that you don't have to be confined to a box. And I think that Donald Trump right now is what keeps the mainstream media going. I think the damage is done to Donald Trump's party, his followers. I'm talking about the ones who get on there, like I said, the Make America, they laugh at him making fun of actual people who served this country when he draft dodged. And he is on record saying he's a coward. Okay, we're talking about those people who like to ignore his ignorance because they are actually ignorant. Those people, they're going to remain his loyal base. Okay, they're going to remain a part of his crew. But the ones that do feel duped, you can see it. You can see it. You can feel it. It's the energy when it comes to rolling into November. The damage is done. The damage is done. And I know a lot of people could think, oh, well, they go, you see the common thread here online. They say, MAGA 2020, MAGA 2020. Ignore that. That's just, the desperate sayings of a dying ideology. Those are they've had a nice run for 2 years, and I'm talking about the ignorant racists have had a nice run for 2 years, but there are a lot of good and decent people on both sides, and I've had conversations with both of them from both sides, and they kind of see the error of their ways, and they see it. This tariff war that we're in, you'll see online people say, oh, well, yeah, goddamn, get China, go get China. Meanwhile, before he was running for president, you never heard anything from these people about China, the import exports. You never heard anything about them complain about Canada. But because Trump says it, and they're ignorant, and because they just need someone to hate, and Donald Trump hates. He preaches hate. Yeah. Fuck the Canadians. The Canadians been cheating us. Well, what have the Canadians been cheating us out of? What Donald Trump said they was cheating out of. Those people, they've had a nice run for 2 years. It is what it is. I've gone on too long. I can talk about politics all damn day. It's one of my favorite subjects. But it is what it is. So yeah, that's my response to Subwoofer. Sorry for the long video, man. But yeah, I don't believe he's going to be a two-term president. Again, like I said, I believe the man has done more crimes than you can ever imagine. I mean, people here in New York and Jersey, they know about Donald Trump. We've known about Donald Trump for a very long time. It's why he didn't win his home state, okay? I think that's more of an indictment on a politician than anything. A politician who loses his own state, that should be a red flag to a lot of people. But yeah, he won't be a two-term president, and I don't see him finishing out the first term. Like I said, there's too many moving parts. So let me know what you guys think in the comment section. You probably think I'm crazy with everything I've said. But, you know, it's just my position. And everyone else has their own opinion. And I respect it. Peace.